Sometimes laughter
They smile.
stops the tears.
Laughter's all we got.
That's all we got.
Besides Jesus, if it weren't for these jokes, girl, we'd be divorced. It's hard enough to raise one child with special needs. You try to do 3.
That's right.
That's right. Do you need some eyes?
Shalita Brundage and her husband Sean are raising 4 children.
That's where his arm goes.
3 of them live with autism.
Daniel is our most nonverbal child, and he does not respond if you call his name. What are you going to make, a girl one or a boy one?
What do you think, kid?
Their home, a reflection of the extra steps they take to keep their children safe.
And we have gates everywhere. We have 8, 9 gates. If I was here by myself, I'd have gates up on each side of those kitchen entrances. I'd have gates up in the therapy room where the kids are getting therapy. There'd be gates up on each one of the doors.
Good job.
I'd have the alarms on so that if the door was open, there would be a chirp. And I put gates up on the doors because it only takes a split second for these kids to get away from you. And then what do? They are fast and young, and we are old and slow.
A child with autism escaping, a fear that became reality for one North Carolina family.
I couldn't catch up with him. I feel guilt for letting him get so far ahead of me before I started running after him.
The 6-day search for a 6-year-old boy with autism who went missing from a North Carolina park ended Thursday.
Just heartache. It's the only way we can sum it up because we recognize what parents go through trying to keep them safe.
The child's body was found in a creek about a mile east from the park where his father says he last saw his son.
But if you don't have a child like that, you don't get it. When we saw this story, we were like, oh my God, their pain, their struggle.
Baby Daniel's reading a book.
That's sweet.
For 6 days, this Cottage Grove family hoped for the best
Is made of.
and replayed their own close calls.
I went outside, Daniel was 2 blocks away. Thank God he stayed on the sidewalk. He was headed to a 4-lane highway in Houston, Texas. He was moments away from being there. I took out running and barely caught him.
Metal.
Tonight, they're asking other families to reserve judgment and try walking one day in the shoes of parents who are raising children with autism.
Oh, there's a sense of relief that they found a child, but a sense of devastation that they have to bury their baby. And you know, it's so important for people to support and pray for them and not judge them because they're feeling bad on their own. They don't need your help feeling bad. They feel like right now, what if I should have or I could have.
Sadly, the leading cause of death among people with autism that wander is drowning. After the show, we're going to put some tips on KARE11.com to help keep your child safe around water. We'll be right back.